everyone, I'm doing something a little bit new. I'm going to do a bit of a ramble today. I'm going to call this Cola and Cards after Kellyanne Maddox does something called Tea and Tarot. Not much of a tea drinker. I do like tea, but I'm more of a cola drinker. And so I have my cherry cola here in my sparkly Pusheen container. Yum yum. Delicious. And I have here the Druidcraft Tarot, and I thought I would shuffle the cards and talk a little bit about positivity thinking and some of the problems with positivity thinking. I was talking to a friend recently, and we were talking about this, and she's like, you should do a video about this. So I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. So we were talking about positivity thinking, that there's a whole culture around, this positivity type thinking, and I think that it can create some pretty big problems. I mean, a big popular series of books was The Secret. I think there was a couple of books after, and I've read the book and I enjoyed it too. I think the main sort of general message is okay. There's also Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, which was very, very popular. And in general, I think that overall, it is good to be generally positive about things. And what I mean by that is, if you're walking around every day all like, oh, life sucks and everything's horrible and nothing's ever going to get done and da-da-da, and saying all these negative things to yourself all the time, then you're going to feel shitty. So, that's bad. And if you go around generally thinking like, okay, like I'm going to do my best today, and things are going to looking up, then you're more likely to kind of go out there and get things done, and you're going to feel better about yourself. But it's impossible to feel like that all the time. Asking people to do that all the time is ridiculous. And we're human beings, and there's this whole culture around labeling emotions good and bad. So feeling happy is good, but feeling sad is bad. They're all emotions, and it's totally normal and natural to feel all of these things. We all get angry, we all get scared, we all worry, we all are happy at times, we all laugh at things. These things are not good or bad, they just are. And I think that when we deny things like anger and sadness and guilt, we are denying the depth of reality and our experiences. I also think that it doesn't allow us to really look at the whole picture if we only want to see one part of it. If we don't want to see the sorrow and the anger and the things that have frustrated us, then we're living a pretty shallow existence. Same thing as if you are just angry all the time and think everything is terrible. You're not seeing the joys of your existence either. I think it's important to look at the whole picture and not try to just eat the candy, so to speak, of life. Nothing wrong with candy. I love candy, and clearly I'm drinking cola. But what I'm trying to say is that we have to look at the whole picture, and life is, life has depth and richness to it, and you're avoiding that if you are only trying to, be happy and positive all the time. It's ridiculous, too, I think, to ask people to be positive when they are going through a crisis, when they've lost someone. I think that that's insensitive to tell people, well, if you were just happy, things would be better. I think that's insulting, quite frankly. I think another problem with that kind of thinking is it goes back to the victim blaming thing. It goes back to blaming people for things. So part of the positivity thinking is the idea that your thoughts create things. So in some ways that is true, in that if I envision, for example, I do art, if I envision a painting in my mind, if I envision it first, and then I work out how I want to do that into the real world. So thoughts do create things. But it's ridiculous to think that people thought up an earthquake, or they thought up their illness, or they thought up, a car accident. That it doesn't work like that. Life just happens. People don't think up living in poverty, or I'm going to do a whole thing about spiritualism, about materialism disguising itself as spiritualism. But that's another video. But I think that there's lots of problems with that positivity thinking that can get people into traps. And I think I'm going to pull a card just to talk about it more. I think I will pull 2 or 3 and see what they kind of talk to us about. Okay, first card that flipped over is the 4 of Swords. There it is. So 4 of Swords, generally speaking, is about rest, but it's also about illness. And I think that is one of the areas that gets me the most, is when people think that your thinking caused your illness. It doesn't work like that. First of all, some people are born with an illness, and they certainly did not think those illnesses into being when they were a baby. They were just born with it. They were born with that challenge, and nobody knows why. It happens. Also, you know, illness, like to say to somebody who has cancer or diabetes or whatever it is, that they thought that into existence is cruel and rude and doesn't acknowledge reality. These things just happen to people. We don't know why. And I mean, even if it's something like, you know, you were a smoker all your life and then you ended up with, you know, emphysema or lung cancer, and some people, you know, might say, oh, well, the smoking caused that or whatever. Again, there's all these factors involved. There's, you know, there's genetic history. And even so, even if somebody's, you know, smoking did cause their cancer, emphysema or whatever, how cruel and rude would it be to go up to somebody and say that? And also, that doesn't diminish the other person's suffering. It does not help that person. It is completely unhelpful and doesn't fix anything. It just makes the other person feel like shit. So why would you do that? I do not believe that people think their illnesses into existence. People get sick, bodies break down. Our human bodies are not, while they're amazing and wonderful machines, they do have their flaws and they do break down, and we're all going to, you know, die at some point, and something is going to break down at some point. None of us thought that into existence. It also makes it seem like health is something that is a merit, like you earned it. Nobody earned their health. It's a gift. Like I'm grateful. Like I'm generally quite healthy. I have minimal health issues, and I am so grateful for that, because I have had friends who've struggled with things like diabetes. I have a friend who has type 1, so she just had it as a kid. She didn't do anything to get it. She just has it. Another friend, you know, had, you know, cancer, and luckily they're recovering, which is awesome. But things happen to people, and I'm so grateful, but I know it's a gift, and it's a temporary gift, because at some point we're all going to get sick and we're all going to die. It happens to all of us. It is not, health is not something that you earn. It is something that is a gift. Now, of course, there are things you can do to improve your health. You can, you know, exercise and eat right, and, you know, get rest, and, you know, get your immunizations and take your vitamins and all that stuff, and that's good. That definitely goes a long way to helping yourself be healthy, but it is not a guarantee. It is not a guarantee, and neither is positive thinking. Now, obviously, if you are ill, you know, it does help in general to, you know, there's studies that showed that people that had more of a positive outlook tended to do better than those with a negative outlook. So again, in general, positive thinking is good. But I think that if we go too far and say to say it caused things, or that you must be thinking negative because you're getting more sick, is BS. It doesn't cause illness. It doesn't make people sicker. It's all about a balance, right? So we have to kind of keep that balance in mind, you know, when we're considering these things, or if we're struggling with an illness. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to, you know, have bad days. And I think that trying to make people think that their thinking is causing things is putting additional pressure on people and making them feel unnecessary guilt. And again, that's not helpful to anybody. Let's look what the second card is. The second card is the 7 of Cups. Now, for me, the 7 of Cups is all about when we don't know what we want. And again, positivity thinking, and I'm going to go into this again in another video, is about manifesting things, and you got to know what you want. Sometimes we don't know what we want. I think too, the 7 of Cups, you know, I look at this and I see lots of emotions here. We all have different emotions. We all feel envy and, like I said, guilt, and we all feel, you know, upset at times. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, because if we don't look at that and acknowledge that, we can't look at and acknowledge what's causing that. We can't address it if we're busy running away from those feelings. We're never going to address what it is that's causing that in the first place. We're never going to see our whole selves in the mirror if we're too busy looking at just what the positive is. So that's my thoughts on the problem with positivity thinking and positivity culture. I really hate seeing people blame people for circumstances they have no control over. You know, and it's not just health things. I mean, I think about like people don't think being born into poverty. People act like poverty is some kind of moral condition now. It's an economic one. It has nothing to do with how good or bad of a person you are. It's just an economic condition. And I think part of that has been influenced by, you know, there is, again, not all Christians, I have to say, probably not even most of them, but there is a movement, particularly in the States, towards this sort of materialistic Christianity where it's like if you have money or you're healthy, it's because God blessed you because you're a righteous person. If you're not, if you're sick, it's because you didn't believe in God enough, or if you don't have money, it's because you're not right with God. And that's all garbage. That's crap. I don't believe that at all. And I think, again, that's hurtful to people, and it also excuses people from helping others, which I think is one of the things that we're here to do, is to help other people. So I think that's another big problem with positivity culture, and I think it's shallow, and I think that it blames people for the positions that they're in, and it's really unhelpful to helping people improve their lives and get out of situations or to get through things. We never get over things, we just get through them. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I've probably missed some things. I'm just trying to touch on generally why I think this is a problem. Maybe you totally disagree with me. If so, put below, and I mean, as long as it's polite, I'll leave it up. That's fine. This is just a discussion. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful, amazing week.